Hey Lily, come here. Sit. Thank you. Hey Lily. Guess what? Guess what? You just saved money buying a pre-owned system. She doesn't really care that much. So hey, what is going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and to anybody who is familiar with my channel, you might be asking, why did you buy another Xbox 360 from GameStop of all places? And to anybody who is not familiar with my channel, welcome to the channel. Here we're going to try a little bit of an experiment, and this right here is an Xbox 360 that, yes, I did purchase from GameStop. Now, the reason why I did that is not because I needed another one. I certainly don't need another. I have actually several consoles in my arsenal, but... Hey Lily, we don't really need you squeaking right now, dude. Now, the reason why I got this Xbox 360 right here is because this was a part of a Black Friday promotion that GameStop was doing. Now, this console normally retails for $60 or $59.99 before tax. What they were doing is they were literally giving out these consoles, and by that I mean if you came in time for the promotion and it was per store, you'd be able to get a original fat Xbox 360 console with a controller and cables but no hard drive for $60, and then you could do a mail-in rebate for a $60 Visa gift card, essentially making this a free console. So even if I do have to pay tax on it, which I'm sure I will have to at this point, the rebate's going through right now, I got cables and I got a controller with it, which to me is worth more than the $5 I'm going to have to pay in tax. So I want to try a little bit of an experiment. I said, you know what, free 60 technically, or you know, just a super cheap complete Xbox 360. Now this right here I wanted to bring your all's attention to. This is the system white with wired. Okay. And then right here, it looks like that this console was inspected. It says SD card removed. I wasn't aware that Xbox 360s had SD cards, but okay. SD card removed and reformatted by, it looks like, Tim N D or Tim KD or Tim NO, or I don't know, let's say Tim. Alright, on August 31st, 2017. Now that means that this console has been in rotation and available for sale since August 31st of 2017. If I'm understanding that correctly here, it was probably serviced sometime in 2017. I think it is reasonable to assume that. Now, the reason why I'm going to be checking this out is because Xbox 360s that have been refurbished by GameStop have been kind of scrutinized for a bit. In short, what they would do is they would do repairs to the system that you'd really find on YouTube that involved removing the X-clamps, putting in, you know, bolts and washers in place of those, heating up the system, like overheating it. I don't know if they truly made it overheat, but point is they would replace parts in the system that really didn't need to be replaced, and therefore you had a lot of refurbished Xbox 360 consoles from GameStop that would die and would be coming back. In fact, I know this is more anecdotal evidence because this is a conversation I had, so I don't have any backing on this, but we have talked to GameStop employees, and this was years ago, who sometimes they even straight up said, I'm sure they were going against their code of conduct and everything, and not really helping the store, but they straight up said, if you're going to buy an Xbox 360 from us, buy a new one. Do not buy any of our refurbs. If you buy a refurb system from us, you will be back here within 30 days with the red ring of death. So the reason why I'm also mentioning this is because several articles in early 2015 came out that were actually highlighting this issue that people who were in the repair community had already highlighted for years. But in early 2015, like January of 2015, it started kind of hitting news outlets. So this is what I want to do. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up this Xbox 360, take it out of the box, and I'll unbox it for you all. We're going to check and see what version number this is on to see if we could pinpoint when exactly this is brought into the store. The reason why I say that is because most of the time, from what I understand, from what I've talked with GameStop employees, before they sell an item, they update it to the latest firmware, wipe it, and then put it out for sale. So that way we can see, you know, when it was serviced, and then we're going to open up the actual console and see what all's been done. For those processes, I'm going to speed them up. I'm not going to cut anything so you all can see the entire process there, but of course it will be sped up. So let's see what we got inside the box here. Alright, so in the box it looks like I got a worn down black controller. It has one of these little grips on here. That's fine. Alright. So, oh, and it has a rechargeable battery. That's pretty cool. I also got a player charge kit with this, so, hey, you know what? free cable, that's fine. One of these 203 watt power bricks, right here. Old school component cables, and also the other cable going to the 203 watt power brick. And now we got the Xbox 360. Now I have taken this thing out of the box before, so as you can see, it does not have HDMI. I was able to at least, see what type of motherboard it is. It also has, if the serial number's on here, I don't really care all too much, but it has a service date of 2011, May 25th. Interesting. I'll try and zoom in on that if you all can't see it. So there you go, 2011, May 25th. And let's see what type of motherboard we have. And this one is interesting. I'm going to say why after I actually show you all here. Let me go ahead and get my flashlight. It is a Xenon motherboard. The reason why I say that's interesting is because this console was serviced in 2011, and that was definitely the time when if your system was a Xenon and it went in for a Red Ring of Death repair, you didn't get a Xenon back. If they were going to get back a non-HDMI model, it would have been an Opus. So let's see what happened here. Maybe it went in for a disk drive repair to Microsoft? I don't know. So I can't tell you when this was manufactured. I just know it was, the first generation Xbox 360. First generation, as in first... Thank you, Lily. So it was first generation, as in, of course, first console revision, but also first motherboard. So probably manufactured 2005, 2006. But I don't know what it was brought in for, if it was a disk drive issue or what. But I just found that was strange if it was serviced that late in 2011 and it's still a Xenon motherboard. That's interesting to me. I'm also going to check for one thing. I'm going to make sure the serial numbers match. So looking at the inside flap right here, if I bring this up, yes, the serial numbers do match on this console. So it wasn't like it was a case swap or anything. So the case does match with the system itself. Now this was nice. The this flap is, none of these flaps are broken, which is great. But let me go ahead and take this off here. And, oh, interesting. All right. You know what? Good job, GameStop. Good job. They have not serviced this. A lot of times what you would get before is, let's see, right here. That was the original Microsoft sticker, from what I see. That was the original Microsoft sticker, and then it was serviced, so it got the new Microsoft sticker right here. But many times you would get a huge, GameStop refurbished sticker right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this console and we're going to take a look on the insides of it and see if GameStop has been reformed or if they are being a little bit sneaky here and maybe doing some things to bypass this, and we'll take a look and see. I want to see if they're still doing their crazy refurbishing ways. So I want to take a look at these stickers here before I took this apart. This sticker is attached to the chassis and goes into the DVD drive here, and has not been cut up or anything, so they either might have, not messed with it, or they just did a really good job reapplying it. These stickers here, as I said, this is the original factory, brand new sticker. Then Microsoft opened it. It's interesting that they didn't fully cleaned on there. And this is the concerning thing to me. It almost looks like the second half of this case was swapped out, because the top of the case has the sensitive information. Bottom of the case doesn't really matter. And it has this giant sticker right here, or the sticker residue, if you can see that. And nobody's going to put just a decoration right there. I almost feel like that could have been, a GameStop refurbished sticker right there, and it's been removed. But yeah, nobody's going to put, a decorative sticker on the bottom of their console there. And then on top of that, if you look here, I'm going to try and focus in. And interesting enough, I don't see, at least to me, I don't see a sign of an old sticker on the top of this console. But I see it on the bottom. And it's dirty right there, of course, so, Alright, so I'm going to do some off-screen recording here, but first let's power on the system. The fan has not been modified. That's good, because it just sounds like a normal system. Wait for a few seconds. It's booting up. All right. And let's take a look at this. Oh, there's a disk in the drive. There's a disk in the drive. Oh, and the drive is stuck. Amazing. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to punch this thing to get it out. And, oh, hey, look. Guys, I got a free copy of Black Ops. Platinum Hits Edition. Awesome. All right, so it looks like we are on a newer dashboard here. Let me go over to console settings. The brick. Okay, so it has a name, so this thing wasn't even properly wiped. And it is on dashboard 17511, which I will get you the exact date that was created. or that was updated. So November of 2016, this dashboard was available, and August of 2017, this console was available for sale. I would probably say this was all packaged up, ready to go in August, and this was definitely not formatted properly on here. So, not the first time we've gotten anything, you know, something messed up on this. Let me go ahead, close up the disc here, and I just want to see if this will read the game. Let's see what happens. Because I've also gotten a system that was inspected before by 3 different people at GameStop and had a disc stuck in the drive, and guess what? It didn't play the disc. And yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops boots up. So, well, not boots up, but it shows on there and it reads. So, perfect. Got a free game and a free system, not bad. Let's go ahead and rip this thing open now. Alright, so we got the console right here as we've done already. We've booted it up, we've checked, we've made sure it works, we've confirmed the motherboard version. So I'm now going to crack this thing open. Now I'm going to fast forward through this, but I'm going to keep the whole thing here so you all see I'm not messing around with anything. So let's get this cracked. And here we go. Alright, so bad news is we have some dust bunnies in here, so just cleaned up this table. I'm going to have to clean it again. Good news is, though, alright, so it looks like there was a sticker here. There was another sticker right here. There's a few dents in the board here. However, the good news is these 8 screws. So you see these 2 X's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is a very good sign. What that means is the X clamps are still in place. Now there's the GPU and the CPU that are right here, and what happens is there is a little clamp right there that is in the shape of an X underneath each one that holds to the motherboard. Now what happens is, of course, you have the GPU and CPU on the top of the motherboard, then you have your heatsinks that go on top of them, and they loop through to the bottom of the board where you put the X clamps on, secure them, and then you screw them and fasten them to the chassis here with these black screws. The problem that a lot of people were doing is they would then remove these screws, remove the X clamps, replace with regular bolts and washers, so it was no longer fastened, the motherboard was no longer fastened to the chassis, so you know, whenever the console would heat up and cool down, the board was just flexing and moving. On top of that as well too, the board was then not as flush with the chassis right there, so the board would just have a bunch of pressure from the bottom and would start bending, and that's why a lot of those, you know, screw methods of fixing up Xbox 360s that were popular years and years ago, you could normally do that and your system would work for a few weeks and then it would break again, and every time you did it, it would last less and less to the point where, you know, you would try and fix your system for the 4th or 5th time, and it would just red ring, and you killed it at that point, really. So what we'll do is we'll take apart the rest of the system and see what's going on. But I just want to look at the top. I actually don't even feel like I really need to go all the way on this. Alright, we're now going to check out the top of the system so we can remove this eventually. Man, that was kind of stuck on there. And there we go. Oh, oh my god, it's dirty. Alright. I'm happy. Wow, look at that giant dust bunny. Okay, and there's some there. I'm happy I opened this. I'm really happy I opened this. It looks like there's a different number showing up right there, so I'm not sure what all they did with it. And the disk drive here is a light-on disk drive, meaning that this console was probably serviced for a disk.drive issue of some kind. The reason why I say that is because Xenon models, when they came out, they came with either Hitachi or Samsung drives. At the time, BenQ and light-on drives did not exist in 360s yet. Those came out with the Zephyr models, because my first console was a Zephyr, which was the second motherboard, and it had a BenQ drive in it. So this right here is a light-on, which means, you know, they popped it in later on. At one point later on in the game, if you would send your console back to Microsoft and they replaced the disk drive, it was either a light-on or BenQ. You could not get a Samsung or Hitachi from them anymore. So we can pop this out. And also looks like they did a few upgrades to it as well. And by a few, I mean really just mainly one. Not only the disk drive, which I will be diagnosing. Oh, look at that. Ooh, nasty. Ew. Not only that, but also this heatsink right here, this for the GPU, this is a later generation, second generation heatsink. This heatsink was not put in until they released the Zephyr motherboards. The main difference is the CPU heatsink, it's not coming to mind if this was the same one or not. They might have added in this copper piece right here. Now with the GPU heatsink, the reason why I say this is a second revision is because in the very first model, the Xenon model, which I can actually show you, hold on. Now this right here, the console I put on top, this is a also original Xenon motherboard, and I'm going to lift up the drive here, and as you can see, this is what you would have normally gotten before. This has had a fan mod done to it by another previous owner. I didn't do that one. But right here, it's not supposed to be bent, just pretend it's not, but it looks like the CPU heatsink was still the same, but the GPU right here, it had this type of heatsink where it didn't come in two pieces. As you can see, this one does come in two pieces right here. And on top of that, here we go. We also have another example of someone else's work. This one I did not do any work on, but this is a motherboard where, you know, you have these giant-ass, like, just look how big they are, these giant-ass bolts right here. And this one's done a little bit better because they actually drilled through the chassis to secure it. That's better than not doing it, I'll say that, but still not a good fix. That's why this board is just kind of janky. I think I just use, actually this board is a red light board, I believe. It's red ringed, and I just use it to test out my what is it, my LED stuff, like whenever I was changing LEDs on ring of light boards, so I had that available. Anyways, let me go ahead and move this over to the side. So that's the old system. This is the new old system that we got. So it looks like, yes, this was, of course, taken into Microsoft, and I know later on Microsoft, they were, if they were doing services to consoles, they would swap this out. So the last thing I'll do here is I'll take out the fan, fan shroud. There we go. That thing is nice and clean, right? Very clean. The fans definitely do have dust on them, all that other fun stuff. All right, cool. More numbers inside there. Revision A. Looks like there was a sticker swap on there, so some interesting stuff. In short, so kind of want to end the video here. I would take this thing apart further because I was going to lift off the heat sinks. I was thinking of doing that. Unfortunately, I just looked through my stuff and I don't have any CPU or GPU, dye cleaner. I could use rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol, but more importantly, I also do not have any Arctic Silver 5 or any other thermal compound on hand to replace it. So I'd rather just not do that right now. I'm just going to get this all cleaned up at least the best I can without going in there, and we should be fine enough. Point is, I'd like to answer the question I was kind of posing a bit in the title of this video. Is GameStop still doing their trickery to Xbox 360s? The answer here is no, and the reasons why are, one, as I said, the heat sinks are completely untouched on here. The GPU and CPU, they haven't been bolt modded or anything else. What would happen a lot of times too with old GameStop systems is this is a sloppy version of it. This right here is a fan modification. Now this fan modification allows your fans to run at full speed, which the full speed would be running at 12 volts of power, and it just, cuts into the DVD drive's 12-volt line. GameStop would do something similar. They had a nicer way of doing it where they had, like a little fix for it and everything, but if you had a GameStop refurbished system, it would not have the black screws there. It would have the bolts replaced. It would have cheaper thermal paste, and on top of that, this would be kind of sliced up and cut together with a bit of a module. It looked nicer than using electrical tape or anything else, but it would cut into the DVD drive to run at 8.7 volts, so that's why I pointed out later, earlier in the video, where I turned on the system and I commented on how it was not loud. That's because the fans have not been modified. The fans stayed as is. In fact, I would even say that GameStop never ever opened this system while it was in their possession, which can be a good and bad thing. I mean, good, they're not messing around with it, but bad because look at how dirty this is right here. So, I kind of want to answer this. If you are asking, if I get a cheap Xbox 360 from GameStop, is it worth it? I'm going to say yes if you know what you are looking for. Now, the Xbox 360, it's still a good system, don't get me wrong. It has plenty of great games on there. There is backwards compatibility on Xbox One, but that doesn't have all of the Xbox 360 games. So if you want a cheap system with a really awesome library, the Xbox 360 is a pretty solid way to go. Even the PS3 as well, too. I'm not saying anything bad about them. However, with the Xbox 360 here, what I would recommend is, if possible, get a later motherboard. If possible, get a Jasper Fat motherboard. That would have HDMI, and I'm probably going to put a display on screen showing how you can differentiate the motherboard types. That means you're either going to have someone nice enough to open up the boxes for you so you could check the motherboards yourself, or you're going to have to buy an Xbox 360, take it home, open it up, see what type of motherboard it is from the power plug, and then return it. So I'd recommend doing that. If you do not want to do any of that stuff, if you don't want to go through that extra effort, buy a Slim. The Slims are a lot less prone to the red ring of death. So if you have to get a fat model, the one I always recommend is a Jasper motherboard. If you don't want to deal with the effort of looking through and seeing what motherboard it is, get a Slim model. However, these fats for $60, if you can get a Jasper for $60 complete with the cables and a controller, that's pretty solid. This right here, free 60, so I'm not complaining about it. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can reset glitch hack it because I haven't taken this off yet. You can do a reset glitch hack 1.2 to it if it is a Xenon with a Canadian CPU, but I don't know what CPU this is because I haven't taken the stuff off. Now, the other thing here is really if you get one of these systems and it has not been modified or tampered with or anything else, if you keep it clean, it will last you a long while. So I don't really have any doubts that this should be a okay backup system to have, especially because I have a little module that just hooks into the component port here, and it just converts straight to HDMI. So if I can't really use the complaint of, oh, it doesn't have HDMI, because I can, transfer it easily to HDMI, that's fine. But I'm going to get this all cleaned up off camera here, put it all back together, and we should be good to go. So I'm very happy to report that in 2017, 2018, GameStop is no longer doing their trickery to Xbox 360s. They're not doing any of those bolt repairs or fan mods here. I honestly don't think it's worth it to them anymore. They get these systems in for so cheap, and they sell them for a cheap amount as well, too. As I said, this system is normally $60, and on Black Friday, they were giving them out. They were literally giving out Xbox 360s on Black Friday. It's not worth it to them to repair and refurbish them anymore. I would just say, though, if you do get one, try and get a good motherboard, open it up, clean it, see what you can do. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would very much be appreciated. And if you absolutely hated it, a dislike is fine as well, too.